This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire, the no-show. Who set you back because they didn't show up on day one, or day two, or ever again. And now your product launch is delayed because you're talking to alien abduction podcasters to track them down. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can help make sure your next hire sticks. In fact, businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
Welcome to Diz and Hers, a show about what's happening in the Disney community from his, hers, and your perspective. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Eric, and on today's show, we take a look at those rumors of Space Mountain going down for a lengthy refurb, and also discuss what rides take you down for a lengthy refurb after riding. Yes, we're discussing those most painful rides on Disney property.
Been there. But before we get started, we want to remind you that Diz and Hers can be found on all your favorite podcast platforms and also in video format on YouTube and Spotify. We would love it if you could head over to Apple, leave us a rating or review, and let us know what you want us to talk about on an upcoming episode.
Okay, Lauren. So while we were away at the Disney attractions, the major story of the Space Mountain refurb was broke by, I believe, WDWMagic.com came out, and people are having their opinions. Now, this is something that is going around. It is not confirmed. But what is the general report that we're hearing?
So, from what we know, Disney is considering a large-scale rebuild of Space Mountain, like a big deal. This isn't just like you're basically getting the same track or you're getting an upgraded track experience like Big Thunder Mountain. So, but they are saying like the full retrack, a redesigned queue area and loading areas, updated ride vehicles, new audio. The project, it's still in the planning phases, but we've heard this multiple places and not just WDW Magic, and people really latched onto this because, we're sensitive when you mess with some of the classics. So what else do we know so far?
Well, we know that, this is an attraction that was built and put together in 75, I think. So it's dang near 50 years old. And, it is slightly different than the one in Disneyland, obviously. And there's always been talks and discussions that this ride should get some type of upgrade, refurb. There are many Space Mountains around the world, and I think even the one in Tokyo is currently being done, and that got completely gutted inside and out. The one in Paris is different in its own right, but that has been changed to, like, I think, Hyperspace Mountain forever, in the same situation over in Disneyland. So this Space Mountain is true to pretty much the original, with slight modifications and slight upgrades over the years. But I think what you're seeing is that we just did Big Thunder, and that retrack was wonderful. It goes from being super bumpy to a pretty smooth experience. So I don't think anybody would complain about that. But there are
No.
people out there that saying, hey, this queues and the loading stations are all iconic, and we don't necessarily want you messing with that. So I think that is what caused a lot of the scuttlebutt in the comment sections of
I
pretty
mean,
much
and
anywhere you go.
it came right after the new animatronic at Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland with the new face where they're testing this technology. And so similarly, people are like, please stop plussing the classics.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this is one that probably is not going to be a plus. This is going to be like a complete rehaul and do. And D23 is coming up here shortly, so I'm wondering if we'll get some type of comment or talk about that. And as you can tell, there's a lot of stuff going on in the other side of the park. So you got Big Thunder up, but you have this entire Tom Sawyer and Bill and Land all kind of being put together, and that's not going to happen, and that's not going to be done until almost 2030, something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
So taking this down and fixing this part of the park, which is the Tomorrowland section, that will kind of, if you have something new there, that'll kind of help balance people come over and not just necessarily just kill the villain's land and the new Cars Road Racer, whatever they're calling it, Piston Peak. So I think it is a nice balance on both sides of the park that if you get refurbs, it can help balance things out.
Right. Do you think that they realize that Tomorrowland is, kind of outdated now and that they're going to touch everything? I mean, where I'm leaning is, are they going to touch my People Mover?
Well, I
Like, if
think
you look
that
at the
that'll come
Carousel of
up.
Progress
Yeah.
and Buzz being, zhuzhed up and then Space Mountain, what's left?
Yeah, well, I think that's
The
part of what's
Speedway?
happening. We always know Tomorrowland has kind of been a hot mess for a long time. I mean, what, 94,
Yeah.
95, they tried to do like the realistic, like odd spaceport where you had, but then you get Laugh Floor coming in there. You Stitch Great Escape's been empty forever. The Speedway has always kind of seemed out of place. So I don't think you would think that they would just be like, all right, we're going to redo it all at once. And it doesn't seem like that's happening. So if this Space Mountain thing does happen, yeah, you're kind of almost seeing it going along the lines. And it wouldn't be surprising if, hey, we got this new Monsters Inc. land over in Hollywood Studios. Why the heck is the Laugh Floor here? And maybe there's an opportunity to kind of revamp and put something there and look across the street and see if there's something for Stitch. So they could make, maybe the 2040 like big spin is, oh, Tomorrowland is all good now that we have this other side of the park, because they're going to have to keep moving and moving to keep up.
Right.
Everybody, it's just a competitive world, and if you want people to travel every year or every 2 years, you're going to give them a reason. And once they're done with these projects, they'll move right to the next. So I don't think there's ever a breathe, relax, we're good for a while. I guess that's good for fans, but it's also bad for fans because, as you're going to know here as we go through the comments, there are a lot of people that are happy and unhappy that we're touching a classic, right?
Yeah, and I think do you think that people would hold off on booking a trip if, say, Space Mountain was down for 2 years? And that they know, like, if you're a big coaster person, I know that that's one of your favorites and Hunter's favorites. And so if you know your favorite thing is going to be down for 2 years, would you just wait until everything
I
opens
think
back up?
I don't think so. I mean, when we went to Disneyland for the first time, Space Mountain was down. When we went to Disneyland for the second time, Space Mountain was down. So like I was really excited. It was my third trip to Disneyland, I think, before we finally actually got to do Space Mountain. So I do know it's iconic, but it is a reason. There's going to be so many new elements that hopefully are around the park that you're like, well, I know space is down, but hey, there's this whole new Cars area that we haven't witnessed. So I think every year they're just trying to give you something of substance that you're going to visit. And truth be told, if you have Monsters Inc. at Hollywood, you're going to book that trip. It's not like you're not going to pay to go to, Magic Kingdom still. So I mean, yes, there's elements. I think something like a whole brand new land might hold you off, but one attraction probably not so much.
All right. Well, I guess we shall see. But like you had mentioned, people in the comment sections they're pretty divided here. The biggest thing that we're seeing is please keep the queue. Like keep the queue music,
The dioramas and the and
Yeah.
by the way, the queue is interesting because I'm not sure if they're meeting like the loading queue, which is fine. It's just a long,
I mean,
narrow
it's just
pathway.
I was gonna say, like, what is it? Like, there's not much going on up
I was
there. It's
thinking the
not
other
like
day,
Peter
remember?
Pan where it's
Yeah.
interactive or like
Well,
you're
it
just kind of
was at one
standing
time.
there.
There was that one point in time where you could play like games on the panels. Like you were shooting, it was like almost like an Astro Blaster type, like asteroid type thing. And it did not last very long, but I remember that. But now it's primarily just a long queue. I like the music. I think the atmosphere is wonderful in aspect, but like I was more concerned about like leaving. I like kind of seeing the old kitchen or like that futuristic kitchen
Yeah.
and so forth. So I'm wondering if that's what a lot of people were saying. There is an element that brings like Space Mountain has its own style, vibe, atmospheric like feel. So I think keeping that in touch is kind of important. And that's where a lot of people are kind of coming through. But, as things go, we got to worry. Anything that comes into the park nowadays is not just like, oh, I'm surprised they didn't put IP in Big Thunder, right? They had it down. I'm like, what
Right.
could they have done there? I'm surprised Jesse and Woody weren't like out there. What do you think? We have Test Competitive 4673 that went out there and says, with how IP forward Disney has been in the recent year, I wouldn't be surprised if they take this opportunity to turn it into Hyperspace Mountain and rebrand to Star Wars. Don't think it'd be a good thing, but think it's certainly possible. What's your thoughts on that?
Mm. I mean, they could. I thought of like, there's Wally, we talked about, which was a big movie in space. We can have Stitch somewhere in Tomorrowland. I would say, of anything, the most likely, if they were going to put IP in, would be Star Wars. But would they do that to sprinkle it around the different parks? We have Galaxy's Edge and Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, I think that having IP in the different parks, if you look at Universal, it's worked really well because you have Harry Potter in one park, you put it in the other, and then now you have to go to both, right? So if
Yeah,
you're looking at
yeah.
multi-day ticket things, it'd be smart, or it's if you want to go see Star Wars, you go to Hollywood Studios. It'd be interesting to say, well, you go to Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom. So if you're a diehard Star Wars fan, you have to buy 2 tickets. But I almost
Yeah,
feel like if you're going to Disney, most families, if you have one day, you pick the Magic Kingdom. That's just how
yes.
that works because that is where everything is. If you have 2 days, then you would pick the next, you'd have to decide. And that might say, well, instead of Epcot, we'll go to Hollywood Studios because I'm a Star Wars fan and I saw it here and there. So it'd be interesting to say. I don't think that they'll turn into Star Wars. I feel like that Hyperspace Mountain was cool when it first came out, but a lot of people feel like it's overplayed and doesn't necessarily fit the vibe. But I love an idea of Wally, but will that pull people in? I would be okay with a slight overlay of space-esque theming in there if it's characters like in the queue and stuff like that. But let's keep it a dark, starry field. Like we don't need to see where
Yeah,
we're going. That's what makes Space Mountain kind of what makes Space Mountain a thing. I'm
yeah.
cool with
I would
onboard
not be
audio though.
surprised, though, if I'm thinking Pirates of the Caribbean, they obviously weave that IP in.
I mean, I could see them doing that. They just don't really have any great IPs. I would have imagined that if the Lightyear movie would have went over well, that would have been a good play for them to just throw Buzz in everything and just make that a Buzz Lightyear section. But you
Oh
mentioned
my
it.
gosh, and then they could have Woody and Jesse over on the other side of the park.
Oh God, yeah. No, too much IP for me. Just listen, Space Mountain has been popular and hasn't needed any type of IP for years. Why change it now? We don't really need that. But you mentioned it earlier. You're worrying about your people mover, and other people online
Oh my
had the
god.
same questions.
Yeah, the Real Skull said, sorry if it's already been discussed, but I wonder how the refurb is going to affect the People Mover because the People Mover goes through the ride. And then you got Bucka Bear that says, well, considering that almost all of the People Mover is plugged into the inky blackness. Oh, I like that inky blackness. That's a good screen name. For most of the ride through Space Mountain, they could just build a plywood tunnel around it and paint the walls black. Who would even know?
Right. You're
I
absolutely
would
right.
know.
Now,
I'm
would you?
looking I have to look up. I have to see the, like, spacemen, right?
Yeah.
And, like, you can hear people screaming.
Yeah. Yeah. There was
But
so
I
I
would take the plywood. Go ahead, put it up
no.
there.
Yeah. No.
Punch
I
some
think. I
holes
mean,
in the plywood, put a couple little twinkle lights, and let's go.
but that has to be something they're considering. If they take that down, they're actually going to be taking down 2 rides if they can't figure that out. So I don't know what kind of configuration. I mean, it's not like you're just going to take a people mover and reroute it. It could be like the train where once you go to Space Mountain, then you go backwards. I don't even know if that's possible, but it'll be interesting to see. Now, I was following this online real time, and I think I found the most ridiculous and entertaining. And I don't know if
Like,
this is controversial in its own right. So I was on X, and there is a follow that's called Brer Oswald, and this account shows up all the time, random thoughts. But this one was interesting, and it says this all started with the darn purple wall. That's when all of the Instagram aesthetic girlies jumped on board the Disney park train, and they brought their Neanderthal sports bro boyfriends who have completely hijacked the fan base.
what?
Yeah, right. So
What
so
does
we
this have to do with Space Mountain?
listen.
We're getting a refurb because of the sports bros?
Listen, that is the take that I thought was the most entertaining, because then of course it goes threads upon threads and people are all commenting on both sides of the mountain, literally, because all right, so we're going to get a refurb to a 50-year-old attraction because people like to take pictures with a purple wall. So that's just funny that, one of the slapbacks here was from Montana. It says, rumor of a ride refurb, ... hate girls that take pictures at theme parks, ... hate girls with boyfriends. Perfectly normal line of thinking. And then Allie says, sports bros love to update coasters with modern control systems. So,
Oh, this is the best. Thank
yeah,
you,
so
Matt Oswald, for
like,
delivering.
Yeah. So, of course, Brer comes back and there's other people that were comment on it. Says, it's, quotes, still tons of fun is subjective, says Brian. I don't like it and haven't ridden it for years. I know plenty of others who feel the same way. If they're going to change it, I'm sure they have a data to support the decision. So Brer's comes back with, I haven't ridden it in years, so nobody else has. Ignore the fact that it's always one of the highest wait times in the park. They have the data to support it, I guess. So
listen, I was cool with Brer giving their opinion, but their next comment is to blow up the PeopleMover too.
Well, no, listen.
I'm hoping that the tone was like, yeah, if you're gonna do this, take the PeopleMover too. Like,
yes, I think that was the tone. I think it was Johnny, on the other hand, is just like blow up the inside track and keep the PeopleMover. And Brer was almost just like, no, just get rid of everything. And it went on. I mean, Brer had 3 or 4 days of just going straight up, very, very on off hinge about this Space Mountain thing. But let's go back over. We'll get off X and we'll go back to some of the comments over on WD Magic and Reddit. Undecided Lemon says, if they fix it, it would put so many chiropractors out of work. And that is indeed where a lot of people stand. And Viral Vortex says, but just they'll see an uptick in appointments for kidney stones, right? So with that being
shake
said,
it right out.
Yeah, that being said, let's take a quick break, but that brings it up to a lot of reason why people don't like Space Mountain, you included, is that it is a bit bumpy. It's a bit tough. And this isn't the only ride in the Disney portfolio that has that reputation. So when we get back, we're going to talk about some of those other rides that make you kind of need to go see a chiropractor or not, or pass a kidney stone when you come back. So some of the most disturbing and uncomfortable rides when we get back from this break.
Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
All right, and we are back, and like we were talking, Space Mountain, the rumor is getting a refurb, and that track is pretty windy. And Lauren, I mean, why don't you like to do it so much?
Oh, well, the chiropractor thing is certainly one. I would always kind of try to avoid Space Mountain and Big Thunder Mountain because you get jerked around so much. And I'm also prone to getting headaches. So being in the complete dark and being jerked around can also give me a headache. So I'm not a huge coaster person, but I love Guardians of the Galaxy because it's such a smooth ride. I don't get yanked around. I've never gotten a headache. Maybe a little queasy depending on the day, but no headaches or, my back being thrown out.
Well, I figured that as much. When it comes down to it, I think my brother didn't necessarily like this being in the dark and going. On the other hand, if there's somebody that would be outraged, you would think it would be me, since Space Mountain is like my favorite attraction, like my favorite ride. I'm not upset about it at all. Like, I just feel like they'll do the fine job, and coasters are coasters in a sense, and I don't know the ride track layout that much. I just know it's fun to be in the dark and just kind of going and not knowing where you're going. So it never bothered me, but I can definitely understand where it whips you around. And as I get older with stuff like that, maybe it's a little bit more painful. It's more painful getting in and out of that single track car because it's like hard to get in and out. But I went online, and I know that most people in the forums were saying this was a painful ride. I went online, I did the unthinkable, Lauren. I clicked on Inside the Magic.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I found an article as the most painful Disney theme park ride. So this was pretty, from an SEO title standpoint, it lived up. They did exactly what they said they were going to do.
But did it say anything about the most painful theme park rides?
Yes, it did. That's the thing. This is from October 18, 2025. So by a guy named Luke. So good job on you, Luke. It wasn't clickbaity. It actually lived up to the title. So I will go over a couple of these because for the most part, it was just 4. It was just 4 of them that were listed. So it wasn't a long article or anything like that. But I just want your opinions. And I don't know if they necessarily rank them in terms of most. But Space Mountain was on that list. And then you also have Matterhorn bobsleds. So,
which I will not do.
You have never done that, right?
No, I have heard the horror stories. And I think I actually got in line with y'all the last time, and then one of our children was like, "I don't know, mom,"
Yeah, I think
and
it was me even.
or you
Right.
were you were like, "No, do it, do it,"
Oh,
and
okay.
one of the kids was like, I don't know," and so then it scared me, and I was like, "Yeah," because I guess that one is very,
Oh my
very
God. I don't know how
tricky.
that's not a number one on a list. I mean, doing the Matterhorn multiple times, I mean, this is something that was built in the 50s, right? Maybe early 60s. I don't have the exact date on when Matterhorn came out, but it was like the first steel tubular roller coaster. And I don't know how much they've updated that. And it is jerky and it boom, bang. Like, it's tough. It is a rough ride. You almost do it for the nostalgia aspect of it. I don't know if you do it for the thrill, but that is one that chiropractors, like, you're going to need to see somebody after this. So
It
having
just
that
looks
on the list
so
is not.
cool on the
It does.
outside, and, like, it makes me really, really, really wanna do it, but I also spend a lot of money to go to Disney,
Yeah,
and, like, then to be miserable for the rest of the day, it's not worth
right.
it for me.
The other one, I don't know if you have you done? You've
No,
had to. You've never done Mission Space
no,
either.
no,
Same reason.
no.
Yeah, I
Same
mean,
reason.
now Mission Space isn't like it jerks you around. Your head just like it's one of those things where I learned, all right, don't look to the side. You have to look straight forward. It will make you nauseous. And I mean, it has officially, unfortunately, more people peel over after that than any other attraction, I imagine.
Yeah, and, so my big reason was when Guardians came out, we have a young son who just did not wanna do it, and the space playground is awesome, it's indoor, it's
Yeah,
AC,
yeah.
so we would sit in there for hours, like, while, we're waiting for you guys to go on Guardians, and people just come out of there, and they were green, they are
Yeah.
gray, and I'm like, "Why would anybody put themselves through that?" If there's anybody listening that likes Mission Space, please let us know, like,
Well,
what is the appeal?
listen, it's like going to space, man. It's astronaut training. So if
Man.
you pay a couple $100, you go train to be an astronaut for a couple minutes, and sometimes you make it
And
to
then
the
you
nearest
puke.
garbage can. Yeah. The last one on here that they had on their list, which is no more, but I imagine that the ride technology is going to be slightly different, was dinosaur. I never thought dinosaur. I mean, I know it jerks you around, but is it painful? I would have never listed dinosaur as a painful ride.
Yeah, I would've.
Okay.
And I think it was another one that I would get headaches. I think I only ever did it twice, just because it's like you're off-roading, and it really does jerk you around quite a
Okay.
bit,
I just
and
never felt that way. Okay.
oh, yeah, but, like, one that was not on this list that Chris mentioned was Goofy Sky School at, California Adventure. Holy macaroni. I rode that ride one time, and I was like, "I will never, 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 never go on Goofy Sky School again, ever. I do not need the training."
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't those mouse coasters, they have those sharp turns, and that sometimes will jerk you around. You know they're coming, though. It's not like you're in the dark. I don't
No,
know. I just maybe brace.
that one was extra bad. What was the one that was in Animal Kingdom, like Countdown to Extinction?
Well, it
Was
was
that the name of the
Primeval
ride?
Whirl, but
Primeval Whirl,
I
yes.
felt like that one was a little bit more there were some people that kinda mentioned Primeval Whirl. I didn't feel like it was that bad, but I mean, I am relatively, knock on wood, in good health. I don't typically get sore for stuff. Like, I've been known to be able to wear Converse All-Stars to theme parks for like 5 days straight. I don't need feet
Ugh.
support. I don't like I'm relatively bendy, I guess. So I don't really
And I
have
need
much of
15
this.
pairs of shoes.
Yeah,
I need
you're
all the comfort.
the yin to the yang here. So I don't find Goofy Sky School, but I understand it. I went over to Reddit and I found one. It says easily the most uncomfortable ride in all of WDW. And I had to look at it, and it's a picture of a seat. Do you know what that is?
That's a safari.
All right.
Wouldn't
It
you
took
say
me
that
a
that's Kilimanjaro Safari? It's
that
just a
it
picture
is.
of the
Yeah.
bench.
Well, I couldn't tell at first. I'm like, is that Kilimanjaro Safari? And I'm like, that is painful for people, I guess. But if you're like,
My, it
do you
does,
think
like, it
so?
really does jerk you around as much as I like it. Like, it again, it's that kind of off-roading. Now, is it gonna give me a headache being at no. Like, do I need to see a chiropractor after? Probably not. But it does jerk you around.
It is a safari. So, I mean, but you continue on. So, this was easily one of the better Reddit threads of people talking about it. And then it's ITR cool because it kind of said Space Mountain has entered the chat. So, we're back at space again, which is fun in a sense. It says, I love roller coasters, but this one's too intense for me. I'll never go on Space Mountain again. It just obliterates their knees, which
Yes.
yeah, I mean, you can see your knees going back and forth, and then somebody comes in, it says they're 6'2", so they hear you, but the jerkiness of the ride is what whips around. I don't know, man. Getting in and out has always been kind of tough. I'm 6 foot, so it's not like I'm super, super tall, but I'm also not short. It would be interesting if they do the refurb, if they move to a side by side as opposed to the one. I think from a capacity standpoint, it'd be silly not to, right?
Yeah. Oh, I do not like getting in and out of those little spaceships.
Yeah. Speaking of spaceships you get in and out of, one we almost couldn't do. I don't think you and I could do it together. Was the Astro Orbiter.
No, at Disneyland, because everybody is tiny back in the day when these rides were built. I bet we could probably do it at Walt Disney World at the Magic Kingdom.
I don't
But
know.
Astro
I don't know.
Orbiter is in Disneyland. Like if you're an adult, and I mean I'm like 5'3", and so it's not like I'm a huge person. And you said you're 6 foot, but there was no way that we were
Couldn't
getting
do
in
it.
this
We tried.
thing
We couldn't do it. We had
together.
to. I think you
Yeah,
just got out and you're like, you got this. And I'm like, okay.
yeah.
Because I'm a checklist guy. I have to get everything off my list. I have to ride almost everything once. I almost even did Doom's Fearfall at Universal because I'm like, it's on my list. I don't love these rides. I absolutely hate them, but I have to get it off. So we did Astro Orbiter, you were like, yeah, I'm good, and I just did it. Now you did it with Miles recently. Did you guys do the same car?
Yeah. You could do it with an adult and a child. It's comfortable, but two adults is just, I think it's too much. It's very difficult to get in and out. Like
Yeah.
it would be like easier if it was more of a Dumbo situation, but it's more of like a Space Mountain up in the air.
Yeah. Well, we head over to Facebook and we have someone that basically says, hey, I know, be careful what are truly the worst rides that have your back hurting afterwards. So somebody that was medically cleared, but still very cautious. And Judy, did you see what Judy posted? Because that is true. And I don't think people will think about this at all.
No. Good on you, Judy. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad. And when Daisy is doing the conga lessons.
Yeah.
My gosh. Thank goodness. Like, if you can get one of the cars that is closest to the door, you're okay. But if you're one on the back and the side, you're cha-cha-chaing for far too long.
Yeah, dude, I hate that part. We looked at each other when we just recently did it. I'm like, brace yourself. And you got to literally grip. I don't know why they did that. I mean, maybe for us to talk about it. Who enjoys that? I want to know who
Nobody
enjoys
wants to
that.
cha-cha-cha.
Yeah,
Nobody
who
wants to
enjoys
cha-cha-cha.
that? And then the Slinks St. Dog maybe posted it that the Rock and Roller Coaster threw out their back a few days.
Yeah, 100%.
And I will tell you, that is the ride that I did not do for years. And we just talked about how, I was saying, hey, I'm the epitome of health, joking, of course. But I don't typically get hurt. The Rock and Roller Coaster, I literally threw out a shoulder years ago. And I think it's just because I was bracing for, I tensed up too much when the launch went. And oh man, I couldn't carry a backpack. I couldn't push stuff. So somehow that threw my dang shoulder out. It was just the launch. I don't think there was anything else. But if you're talking about
rocky
Disney
ride, yeah.
well, there's inversions involved. There's inversions.
What?
Yeah.
I did the Muppets over one time, and I was like, okay, that was enough for me.
No, I loved it though. I've now that I've done a couple more high intense coasters, in my opinion, than that, it seems a little bit more tame. And I don't have an issue. So I will do that every time. Now that it's the Muppets, I will certainly do it every time. And I'll try to do it even more because I'm like, all right, let's check off the list of songs. Then Jennifer put on here, she said Smuggler's Run, especially if you're the engineer. Have you felt that? I don't know if it's a jerky ride, but your engineers are far in the back.
If you have a terrible pilot, and you're in the back being the engineer, you're just trying to push the button, and it will rough you up. It's not one that I had thought of off the top of my head. My brain goes immediately to Epic, and I know we're talking about Disney, but that My Cart Madness, the Donkey Kong ride, never ever again. It's up there with Goofy Sky School for me. It is a hard pass.
It's up there with the Matterhorn, believe it or not. The Matterhorn hurt me, and then Donkey Kong hurt me as well. The difference, well, I guess they both are about an hour-long wait. I would do Donkey Kong multiple times. I can handle the pain temporarily. I can't handle the 70 minutes in line in the sun. So I'm with you.
And it is 2026. So, you're talking Space Mountain went online in 75. I get it. Technology is a little bit different. It is 2026, ma'ams and sirs. Why? Why are we so jerky?
Pad those seats. Yeah, pad them.
Please do. Yes.
All right, last one on the list here, which is really interesting. So I've been following For the Love of Theme Parks on all the handles. So he's a content creator. and has come up and has done really, really good YouTube, had some really funny shorts. And I came across him on TikTok, and he had the top 3 most painful rides at Disney parks. Number 2, now granted, number 1 was like Matterhorn, and number 3 was, I think, Space Mountain. So, but number 2, Summit Plummet at Blizzard Beach. This actually has warnings, Lauren.
Really?
I know you have not done this one. Our son has done this.
No.
This is one that almost has warnings, like if you're wearing like a bathing suit or for the females to be very careful. This is a ride that you go, I don't know the exact dimensions.
It's going to rip it right off.
Yeah, you're in trouble. So and I guess you could get some serious water up your nose and your face. Yeah, and it's got some velocity there. So
your bum, probably.
Yeah, you just got to.
This is the one, if you're not familiar, when you walk into the park, it is, you have to take a, is this one that you can walk up the steps, or do you actually have to take like a vehicle to get to the top?
No, you can walk up. I mean, we're all going up the ski lift, and then you can go one way. If you're like us, we go on the family coaster. That is, fine. And then if you could go here, and you just got to walk up even further. So this is their big, e-ticket attraction. I'm not a fan of heights, and I don't know if this is one that I'll ever be able to check off the list. And luckily, I put it over in this category of like water parks don't count. In my own brain. But Hunter has done it, and yeah, this is one that you got to be kind of careful with, and it is a painful ride if you don't brace yourself. So yeah, there's a lot of painful rides. I don't think there's as many, obviously, as some other parks. I'm sure some of these old school, Kennywood parks and some of those have some really ones that'll beat you up. I think Disney knows lawsuits are going to be coming, so let's try to keep it to a minimum. But you can't stop it. But we want to know what you guys think is the most painful and what kind of stories you have. Have you thrown your shoulder out on Rock and Roller Coaster? Have you puked on Mission Space? We want to know. You let us know in the comments.
Give us all the gory details.
That's it. But I think that'll do it. If the rumors come through, Space Mountain might not be as painful, but we still have some other ones here. They have a list that they need to go through to fix all of them, right?
Yeah. That's it for this week's episode of Diz and Hers. For more, make sure you're hitting up DizandHers.com. There you'll find articles, episodes, and updates. And if Disney's your vibe, be sure to subscribe.
And remember, watch what you post. You might end up in next week's episode. Thanks for listening.